Hi guys, welcome to Mental Health Monday. Today we are going to be talking about how I changed my mindset. So I've gotten this question a few times actually, and I think it's more relating to my body image and how I changed my view on myself and my body. So I'm gonna mostly talk about that, but I also kind of want to bring it in I have no idea what I was saying. I also want to talk about how I changed my mindset in general. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Mayo. Alright. I'm gonna explain as much as I can, but I also think it's something you just kind of wake up one day and realize that what's the point to hating yourself? It's hard to give advice on it and say what happened and what changed my mind and blah blah blah, because sometimes I'm not even really sure. I just think it kind of happened, and it was just a bunch of little events that kind of led up to me being like, why am I spending time and energy hating on myself? And realizing that it was so much work to hate myself and so draining, and I just didn't have the energy to do it anymore. So I'm gonna try my best, and hopefully it helps even just one of you guys feel better about yourself or start that journey. It's like curling weird. Or start that journey. Or start the journey to loving yourself and feeling good about the skin you're in. So I'll briefly explain kind of what caused my body issues, what caused me to not love the way I looked, just because it might give you guys some help. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So I got bullied really bad in grade 5 for my weight, and I was a bigger girl. I'm Greek, so we tend to run a little bit on the heavier side, short and heavy, and we also just love to eat. So it's hard to be skinny when you're Greek because you're just force-fed food all the time. That was really bad, and it caused a lot of issues for me, even just at school, because I had switched schools that year and there was just so much going on. I had gotten my period, and then to not just get those random comments about my body that I had gotten before, but to actually like go into school every single day and be commented on my body by the same person with the intentions of making me feel like I wasn't good enough or like I wasn't important. It takes a lot out of you, especially at such a young age. You're just starting to learn the way of the world, and you're just starting to feel certain emotions and go through certain things that you had not experienced before. It's just not that it's ever a good time to go through it, but it's a really crappy time to start experiencing it and feeling like there's no one to go to, especially being at a new school, all male teachers, because I had 2 male teachers that year, no female teachers. It was just a lot. So that really affected me. And then by about grade 7 or 8, I think I talked about this in one of my other videos, I had lost a few family members like back to back, like about 4 in a year. And yeah, I totally talked about this, but sorry, anyways, I'll go quick. It just I kind of felt like, what's the point of hating my body? Like, am I going to be on my deathbed worrying about the 5 pounds I gained, or you know, that I ate that extra cupcake that one time and all that stuff. It helped for a bit, but I think what ended up happening was I was kind of just pushing the feelings away because I felt like I'm not going to worry about this when I'm on my deathbed, so what's the point, blah, blah, blah. So I pushed too much away that I think by the time I got into high school, it just kind of all came back because I wasn't actually dealing with it. And I don't know, like, I think it's an okay way to live though. Like, I don't think it's wrong to think like, I'm not gonna worry about this on my deathbed, but there are sometimes you still need to let yourself worry and still let yourself feel that emotion, because you can't just say you're not gonna worry about it on your deathbed or you're not going to worry about it in 2 years or whatever, and then just push it away, because chances are it's going to come back, and it's going to come back even stronger. So you can do that with the smaller things, but I think things like this that are really just kind of stuck in you and engraved in you, you need to deal with. You can't just push them away and expect for them to be all okay and all good and whatever. I was pretty insecure in high school. High school also, like, it wasn't that I got bullied a lot. It was more that I felt like I didn't look like the other girls, and I wasn't cool enough, and I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't skinny enough, and it was more bullying on my side. I was bullying myself. I was thinking nasty and negative thoughts about myself. I need a burp. I never really had a friend group in high school. I was kind of just this floater, and I mean, I always have been a floater. That's kind of just part of who I am, but it's really hard in high school not to have a group, because you just feel like something's wrong with you because you don't fit into just one group, or you don't fit into one little box. I just always kind of felt like I was this misfit, which I don't think people would think of me as, because I do come off as confident, and I do come off as, you know, not what you'd consider a misfit, but I just never really had a group. So I was always trying to feel better about myself and look better and do this. Maybe I'd become popular. Maybe I'd become part of whatever group. I was going through those phases, or that phase when you have an eating disorder where you don't want to admit you have an eating disorder. You think you're being healthier. I had been on Cipralex from grade 9 to 10, I think. I found that it just wasn't working for me. It made my highs feel really good, really high, but the lows were like so bad, and there was no in between. It was either really high or really low, and the smallest, simplest thing could trigger a low. Cipralex, my appetite was so bad. I'd have a piece of bread a day, and that was it. Like, I just was never hungry. And then what started to happen with Cipralex is people started to comment on it and go, "You're looking so beautiful," and "Look at you looking skinny, like, good for you, blah, blah, blah." And it just felt like I was being noticed more than I'd ever been noticed. So when I got switched to Zoloft, I didn't want to go back to eating, and I didn't for a really long time. I was just crabby and hangry and just an awful person to be around, but again, I wasn't admitting to it. So it wasn't until the assault happened that I realized that I really wasn't okay with my body, and I was acting like I was okay with my body and that nothing was wrong, but there was a lot wrong. The thing with the assault for me is it totally changed my relationship with myself, and I think that happens to a lot of people, where you feel like something's wrong with you. You feel like you're to blame, because also society makes you feel like you're to blame. I started to really hate myself and just felt this resentment towards my body and towards myself, and had no respect for my body anymore, and just wanted nothing to do with it, and didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. I didn't feel at home in my body. The first time I had gotten a massage after the assault, I remember crying to my masseuse afterwards, just saying thank you for making me, you know, realize that I need to take care of my body, and what happened to me isn't my fault. It's not my body's fault. Like, I've got it, it's got me, we gotta work together to get back on track. And then, yeah, and that's when I started to change my mindset. So let's actually talk about what changed, how I changed my mindset. Cool. What happened to me is, we had gone away to Cuba in 2019 for March break, and, you know, took a lot of pictures, had a lot of fun, blah, 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 blah. When we went away in 2019 to Dominican, it was so difficult. I remember trying to post on Instagram, as one usually does on vacation. It was so nerve-wracking, and I felt sick to my stomach every single time I wanted to post a picture, because they just never felt good enough. They never felt pretty enough. And I got into that really unhealthy deep dive into my pictures from my March break trip, and wow, like, the difference in size was just so difficult for me to see, and there were so many emotions and so many thoughts that came along with that. And one of them really was that I wasn't even happy at that size. I saw myself at size 6 the way I see myself now at size 12. If like back in at that time when I was that skinny, I did not see myself as that skinny whatsoever. I still thought I was a size 12. I think that's one thing that really changed my mindset and really made me want to do better and be better to myself is I'm never going to be truly happy with my body if I am trying to change it from a mindset of hate. There's this quote that's like, don't work out because you love your, or don't work out because you hate your body, work out because you love it. And that's what I mean. Like when you're doing something because you hate your body, chances are you're never gonna love the outcome. Like you're still never gonna love yourself at the outcome or the result. I truly believe that it's a lot easier to just learn to love your body and a lot less work to learn to love your body than it is to just never be content at where you are in your size or in your shape or whatever. Like that's just so exhausting and so tiring. And I also just realized that I love helping people and I love taking care of people. And going back to the whole bucket analogy, I can't do anything and my bucket's empty. And when I am hating my body and starving myself, my bucket is empty and there's nothing for me to give to other people. And I didn't like that version of myself. I don't like that version of myself that people feel like they need to tiptoe around me because I'm so angry and just so hungry and uncomfortable. Another way I changed my mindset was just having people around that made me feel the way I wanted to feel because of myself, if that makes sense. And you know, I had multiple friends that had done that, but I think Nick definitely did a whole lot just because we were practically and are practically living together. So he's with me the most out of all my friends. It's so important to have someone like that in your life that just makes you question the way you think about yourself and the way you see yourself. One of the things I started to learn was the minute you call yourself fat, people's response is, no, you're not fat, you're beautiful. And I think that that was really destructive when I was growing up because I related beauty to skinny. So I went about high school when I would call myself fat or jiggly or whatever, and they would go, no, you're not, you're beautiful. I'd go, I didn't say I wasn't beautiful, I just said that I got a little extra fat. I even tried it with other people, and it was scary because, you know, you usually answer somebody with, no, you're not, you're beautiful. But I really tried to go, I think you're beautiful the way you are. I think that's helpful for the person you're trying to support, but I think that's also really helpful for you because you're subconsciously changing your views on what beauty means and what it means to be perfect. I think it's all about just being healthy and living your life. And if that means living your life at the size 2 that you are naturally or the size 12 that you are naturally, whatever, as long as you're happy and as long as you're living your life and being healthy, I've just come to realize that it doesn't matter. And if that's not enough, then I don't think anything will ever be enough. So work on that being enough and being more than enough. Another example is I had a little bit of a meltdown in Dominican this year because my favorite romper didn't fit. And I had a full-on meltdown. I refused to go out. I refused to wear anything else. I lost it with my mom, and I remember her just being so calm about it and, you know, pretty much making me feel like just because my body changed doesn't mean I've changed. And if anything, again, I'm a way better version of myself at this weight than I was at a size 6. I just was not the best version of myself. She took the time to work through it with me and she was just so kind and so patient with me, and it just made me realize that I need to be that way with myself. So again, it's you gotta give what you want. You gotta treat yourself the way you want others to be treated. And this isn't really about how I changed my mindset, but this is more about the journey to changing my mindset. You just need to appreciate all the little steps and this is even with the assault and with self-harm, where I just always felt like I was back at square one because I would have a relapse or I'd have a flashback or whatever. And I mean, sometimes I still feel it, and it's just, you just got to remind yourself that all these little steps make up a big jump, and before you know it, you're looking down at the view of where you were and just feeling so grateful for getting there. And that's the thing, like, sometimes you do need to look back and see how far you come, and I don't think there's anything wrong with looking back. It's just making sure that you don't get stuck in the past. I think another thing that really helped me with how I felt about myself was just being honest about it. And this is with all my struggles, and this is why I love what I do here on YouTube, is being honest with where I've come from and what I've seen, what I've been through, what I've felt, what I've thought. It just takes that power back. And I'm not saying you have to sit in front of a camera and videotape yourself saying it, but I'm just saying once in a while, whether you write it down in a journal or you say it to yourself in the mirror or you're talking to a friend, it is so therapeutic to talk about it. And one of the reasons why isn't just because it gets you out of your head and gets it into the world so you can kind of make sense of it. It's also just because you're taking back that power. You're taking back the scariness that comes from that feeling, that thought. You are telling it that, you know, you're not letting it control you anymore. You're going to start taking the power back, start taking the control back, and it just doesn't seem so scary because you've talked about it and you have made a little bit more sense out of it by it being out in the open for few people to talk about, figure out maybe with you, and yeah, kind of totally forget where I was going with that because I just started to think of SpongeBob for some reason. I'm gonna be real honest, don't know where it came. Oh yeah, because anytime I'm talking about in my head, I always think of SpongeBob episodes because they do a lot of like inside heads, inside people's minds videos, episodes. I know I posted something before YouTube all about my body, and the responses I got back were just incredible for me. And it just, again, like I started to really see myself in such a better light. And I think the reason why is because it was a nice reminder that there's way more than what's on the outside. There is so much more. And I know that sounds like such a cheesy thing, but I truly am one of those people that's like, if you're an, oh my God, if you're an awful person, your attractiveness level has gone down about 5-6 points just because of how awful of a person you are. And I don't know, so I guess for me, when I realized what I had done and when I stepped back and realized how good of a person I am and was and wanted to be too, you know, my attractiveness scale for myself went up just because of that. And I think that really helped me with how I felt about myself, was just remembering that it really isn't all about what's on the outside. Just live life and just enjoy every moment that comes your way without being scared of how you might look and how people might think of you or what people might say and whatever, because you can deal with that when you get there. But that's what you're going to regret on your deathbed, is not doing those things because you were scared or because you thought you looked a little too fat or because you jiggled too much or because your hairy arms showed. I don't want to regret that stuff. I don't want to be on my deathbed regretting not going out to eat with friends because I was scared about looking fat or scared about the way I was eating and was I going to look as good as them. Like, I don't want to be regretting any of those things. I just want to do them and then deal with that emotion. I think that's what I mean about this whole deathbed thing, is you don't want to regret those moments. If doing those moments and making those memories cause fear, you deal with that fear. You don't forget about that fear and go, I don't want to think, well, I worry about this on my deathbed, blah, blah, blah. Like, that stuff is that is usually when you deal with the fear. But if it's a moment that you're excited about, you gotta go for it. And as long as it's not dangerous, you gotta go for it and deal with some of the anxieties that might come afterwards from doing the thing that made you scared. Finally, this this one worked for me. But I think one of the things, and I only did this a couple months ago, but this really was like the cherry on top for changing my mindset. Like, it just really helped me. But a couple months ago, I went to go get a tattoo, and I got my wave for Ride the Wave of Emotion, which does actually kind of have to do with this, like, you know, feeling that emotion. So I got my wave, and then there was like, it was a special, as most tattoo places have, which is like, instead of paying for the tattoo, you pay for the time. So I was like, I'm gonna get another one because I want to get the most out of my money. I had thought about this tattoo forever, and for forever kind of forgot about it because I had other ones in mind. But then when I was asked to pick another tattoo because I could, it just was like, I almost just knew that that was the one I had to, this was the one I had to get. I ended up getting Beautiful tattooed on my hip just because my stomach's my most insecure spot. It's actually written backwards, so when you're looking at it as like, you know, a friend or whatever, you don't know what it says. But for me, when I look at it in the mirror, I see beautiful. Shopping has always been really hard for me trying stuff on, just because it never looks the same on me than it does on the mannequin. As it doesn't a lot of people. I got this tattoo, and when I went shopping after I got it, I was able to, I remember clearly the first time I went shopping after it, I stood in the mirror and was just about to cry. And I stopped myself because I saw my tattoo and just kind of took a breath. As dramatic as it sounds, with tears in my eyes, just kind of went, okay, you know, this doesn't define me. My weight doesn't define me. I am beautiful just as I am because I'm a beautiful person. I'm a beautiful soul who cares about people, and my weight has nothing to do with that. I'm not saying get a tattoo, but if you like tattoos, I think it is something to consider. Even if you don't get Beautiful, maybe it's something else that reminds you of someone or whatever. If you don't do tattoos, if you don't like tattoos, even just a sticky note to keep with you. Keep it with you as the constant reminder, and make it personal so that it feels like it's this little gift to yourself. Whether, again, it's something that you personally thought up, or something that someone you really, really care about and you really respect thinks or says or whatever. I always feel so stressed when you guys request videos because I'm really scared that they're not going to be good enough. So I really hope that this helped in some way. But just like every video, if there's anything you want to know more about, please message me, send me a DM, Facebook message me, whatever. Let me know. I love hearing feedback. I love hearing from you guys what I could do better, or what I could add, what I could clarify, what I could elaborate on. I just want to help you guys, and whatever that means, let me know, and I will try my best to do it. So yeah, I hope this helped in some way, and even if it was just one out of the 4 or 5 things I talked about helped you, I'm good with that. So yes, I know how tricky it is right now to be alone with your head, and just know that somebody's thinking about you, and somebody is sending love, and knows that you have the courage and strength within yourself to get through it, and to start the journey of recovery to loving yourself, because that journey is the most magical journey you will ever take. I am appreciative of you guys, grateful for you guys all day, every day, and really hoping that you guys are taking care of yourselves and doing well, and, you know, reflecting on this video and how you treat yourself and how you view yourself, and what's around you that maybe could be causing that, and who's around you that could be causing that. I'm sending love and hugs and all the positive vibes. Okay, bye!